All right, guys, Hunter Fisher here. We are at the Shimano booth at ICast 2023, and I think one of the biggest things that I've heard about with Bait Finesse at ICast is the official drop of the Aldebaran BFS available in the U.S. market. I am extremely excited, and I wanted to talk about it, but to be honest, I feel like I can't really tell you absolutely everything about it, so I got somebody over here who knows this stuff and can tell you a little bit about it. So if you can do me a favor, just talk about what key features of this reel you think are the most important and what makes it a great reel, especially for the U.S. market and BFS and stuff like that.
All right, well, you know, BFS, all the rage is casting light baits. Cast super light stuff. So, you know, casting that 16th ounce or that 32nd ounce. And it starts with obviously Shimano's FTB finesse tune braid. But they've added to that on the Aldebaran. They have the MGL Spool 3. So that's the lightest startup inertia spool that they've ever created. It really helps get that bait moving without having to create kinetic energy in the spool and get it going. The other thing about this reel, 10+1 bearings, this reel SARB, so shielded anti-rust bearings, micro module gear, X-ship, magnesium body that only weighs 4.6 ounces. And line capacity on this is you can get about 45 yards of 8-pound test on this one, and it's got 8 pounds of drag. The other thing I like about this reel, much like the Corrado, it's got the exciting drag sound, so you got that spinning reel clicker on that reel as well. So only one gear ratio, left and right-handed, 7.8 to 1. I believe it brings in 28 inches of line per handle turn, so it's going to move baits really, really well. You got those small cranks you're throwing with it or anything like that, you're going to be right at home with it. But that's basically it. The Aldebaran BFS, I think it retails $459.99.
Gotcha, $459.99. That's a good price, especially with what we've seen a ton of great new products come out of ICast, and I think this one's probably one of the ones that most people are excited about right now because everyone knows Shimano. Everyone knows Shimano, and I know it's going to be a big deal, especially because the Corrado BFS was huge in America. Actually, do y'all have it over here?
Yep, got one right here.
I'll show it to you guys. I've already showed it on my channel before, but I figured, why don't we show it real quick again?
If we can find it. They've been getting moved everywhere.
Everyone's like picking them up and talking around. But this is the Shimano Corrado BFS, and if you guys are familiar with it, I've done video reviews. I've even fished in saltwater with this reel. I'm almost dropping it over here. But this little reel, it was an awesome bass bait finesse reel, but this is the next step up for sure. It definitely puts a little more quality to the name. And in your opinion, how many, what kind of pound braid would you rock on it, for braid?
I rock 5 pound on my BFS setup. So my Corrado BFS, I'm a 5 pound Power Pro guy.
Yeah.
I'll run myself, a 6, 7, 8, up to 10 pound test fluorocarbon leader, depending what I'm doing. And the reason the 5 pound braid is such an advantage, it's all about diameter. Because this only holds 45 yards of 8 pound mono or fluoro, you can get yourself, pretty much close to 100 yards of light braid on there. And I have run them with 8 pound Super 8 Slick V2, but I really like the 5 pound on them.
Do you do just normal Power Pro, or do you do V2?
So 5 pound's only available in normal Power Pro.
Okay,
8 pound is as low as SSV2 goes.
Interesting. And did y'all release any rods to go along with this?
We actually got 3 new models, one in the Corrado rod line, one in the X-Pride rod line, and one in the Zodius rod line that are all BFS specific rods.
That's
and
awesome.
Legit, because I feel like our first attempt at BFS rod was X-Pride. We had a 7.2 medium light. It wasn't really a BFS rod. It was way too much backbone in it, in my opinion. These ones are right. If you grab them, it's like a 6'8", 6'10", but it is a legit JDM spec BFS rod.
Quick question. Have you ever tried BFS in salt water?
I have not.
So I actually tried it myself in ton. Do you think that would be able to handle some salt water?
Your drag's going to be your biggest stop, right?
Gotcha.
At 8 pounds of drag, what I found even up here in the freshwater, I do a lot of smallmouth fishing up north.
Okay.
Smallmouth, when they get real big, they get a real thick head on them, so you're using a 1X hook. The 8 pounds of drag is almost at that lowest amount of drag you'd ever want to try to get the hook into them. I notice the drag slips every time I set the hook on a thicker hook. So you really have to match your hook diameters to the drag ratings.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to drive that bigger 1X or 2X hook into a fish with this. So the saltwater thing, maybe specks would be like speckled sea trout and stuff, would be a prime candidate for something like this.
I do a bunch of redfish, trout and flounder, and I tested the Corrado BFS actually in saltwater, and it was actually pretty good for throwing around Ned rigs and stuff, and I loved it. And I was curious if that reel was up to the par. And
yeah, the other thing I'd say, if you're using 5-pound braid, you almost have enough line to even tackle some of the local like bonefish down in the Keys and stuff like that, where you're casting, you know, just a hook with a shrimp, a live shrimp on it at them. It'd be a perfect scenario to do that.
That was something I was actually talking about with him. I'm like, dude, we need to consider that sometime. But
yeah,
hey, I appreciate you talking about the reel for me.
No worries.
My name is Hunter. It's nice meeting you. And,
nice meeting you.
Thank you for being on the channel. Remember, guys, fish fear me.